Hello people, yes I have a parasol because I'm at the waterfront. I'm telling a story. I'm at the waterfront because I don't want to cry in front of Papa Cat and he doesn't want to cry in front of me. So this is a story and it's a tearjerker, so bring out your Kleenex. That I've been wanting, and I'm probably not looking at the comments, so mods have my permission to do whatever they want. I never resend it, so we're just gonna stare at the waterfront while I tell this story. Someone I adored on YouTube lost the love of her life today, and it's horrible, and I've always wanted to talk about it because yes, there is a happy ending. I'll talk about mine. There was a boy that I met at a Rocky Horror Cast House back in 1983. He was 16 and I was 17. I was dating someone and he was dating someone. I'm sorry, he was 17 and I was 18. So we became really good friends and would drive around and do things and listen to music, and we knew we had a spark for each other, but we completely wanted to, sorry, I'm getting a cough drop, wanted to not be buttheads about it. So we did this for a while. We left Rocky Horror and didn't see each other for a few years, or would see each other occasionally every few years, and we'd be dating someone. I moved to Fremont and we found each other again, and neither one of us was dating anybody. So it took a couple of months to get to that point, and finally asked me out when we were in a hot tub of a friend's house who was chasing him and very wanted to be his girlfriend tons. And we were left in the hot tub alone, and he asked me if we could date, and I said sure. She never spoke to me again after that, go figure. So we were taking it really, really slow, which was really weird for the 80s. So we finally got to that point where it was like, maybe we should do what we should do. A couple of days before Christmas, I got a Christmas card that said, "I'm sorry, I have to leave. You have the best life you can." And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what the hell happened? We've been together. We've waited forever to get back together, or to get together. So he disappeared. A few years later, we found each other on a dance floor. He had a uncertificate husband because they didn't give those out back then, and I had a real husband. And we found each other at a club and pretty much danced the rest of our night together. And his husband and my husband both asked us if we wanted to break up with them so we can go out with each other. And I said, no, I'm married, and you knew him, you've known him forever, because it was Rocky. And he told his husband no. So we started just hanging out together again. We promised nothing would happen, and nothing did. We just went back to being ourselves without any of the romantic attachments, because I guess we wanted to just torture ourselves. And a couple of months into it, because I was 23, so 24. So I was at that age where you're having parties, living in the lower Haight in the 90s and having a good time. So he'd come with his husband a lot, and you know, it'd be okay. And like I said, we were hanging out together at least one day a week. And then he finally told me, because it started to show. that between the time that we first met and the time we got back together again, something had happened. And like good 80s people, we had our HIV test before we decided to fool around. And he had AIDS. So that's why he left and just said, sorry, I have to go. So for the next year and a half, I was there for as much as I could be. His husband understood, so he gave me room. And his best friend, who we hated each other because we were like fighting over being his friend back when we were kids. Her and I became sort of close because when he wound up having to go to the hospital all the time, and this is back in 94, I guess, they put AIDS patients in their own room because they were still afraid of it. So he had this big room in Kaiser in Oakland, and her and I would have shifts. Not on purpose, totally by accident. But I would call myself her evil twin because we looked alike. Sorry. But they were trying things on him, and he was home all the time because he could be. His husband made a lot of money. And so he wound up in the hospital off and on constantly. And we'd see him get better and he'd get out and see him. And me and his best friend, because she was his best friend, I was just the love of his life. He was bisexual. And so yeah, the last 6 months he was in the living room in a bed, and me and her would go every day, take shifts during the day or after, I don't remember anymore. And the Freedom, I'm gonna go off on tangents like crazy. The Freedom 90 song keeps going through my head because Wham was one of our favorite people, and George Michael, of course, was our favorite person when he came out and strutted his stuff after all of that. So I think it was in the evening I'd come home from work, and she was actually a pretty popular DJ in the Bay Area, so she had a morning shift. So she'd go after a morning shift, and then I would come after work for a while. And then his husband would come home and I'd leave. So we did this for about, I think, 6 months or a year. We did it for a year and a half, going between hospitals and homes and then hospitals. When he was slipping really bad, I was staying longer because his husband couldn't really handle it. So by then I turned into, a friend with him. After the wake, we never spoke to each other again, even though I was supposed to take care of him. Of course he did. He hated my guts. And I knew it was the end when a couple of days before he insisted on getting out of bed and he had to crawl. Still came. Got the phone call at work. I worked in San Jose at the time. About 2 or 3 o'clock, burst into tears. My boss let me go. And I knew somewhere along the way he died. Kept driving, got there. Someone had pretty-fied him. Or, just made him look like he was just gone. I came up, kissed him, told him I loved him, and sort of sat there for a couple of minutes and then went back to the fireplace. They had a 60s type fireplace that had a bench, so I'm sitting on the bench. His best friend was there, and we didn't let each other go until after the funeral. Cinderella and her evil twin. He used to make names for her. Cinderella, Aurora, whatever. We held on each other like there was no tomorrow. I never thought it was funny because, oh my God, these two are actually getting along. We're still friends. We don't talk hardly at all, but we're still friends. So that day went by. I went to the funeral. Like I said, her and I stuck together like glue. And people were saying sorry to us. Because the people who had known us for a long time, because I was still young enough that people knew all of us, because Rocky was a huge network. They kept giving their condolences to me and her first, before his husband, before his mom. And we separated for about 5 minutes, because it's like, stop being, stop saying the things to us first. We're not the primary people. And people still came to me and her first, just separated. So we got back together. Got divorced. Still think about him. Then, really badly, because I was divorced, and we already had all the talks you're supposed to have about we'll see each other later and all that other stuff. And went on to my goth world. Had the Eddie drive-by where we were at a club that a friend of mine was having. He came up to the bar and said, "Hi, I'm a DJ." And I said, at a certain club, and I said, "I've never heard of it," and walked away. Next week I came in and said, "I'm sorry, I was mean to you." And he said, "That's okay," and walked away. He's the only person I've ever chased in my life, and I chased him for 2 years, 3 years off and on. And yeah, we were little randy bags, so we slept together off and on too. He was with me for 9/11. 9/11 was complicated in my world because of the architecture, and I always show off the pyramid. My buildings were World Trade Center. And since I'm a child of abuse, it was easier to love buildings than people. And especially, I called him Misha because he looked a little bit like Baryshnikov. And the movie with Gregory Hines that come out, White Nights, one of the songs on there, Phil Collins, is our song. So I called the one who passed away Misha. And he was pretty much the only one I really loved besides buildings. Anyway, we got to know each other in about, I don't know, a year into us not fooling around. I realized he had helped me finally get over Misha. And I cried like a baby as he was hugging me one night when we were getting into a car, and just spilled it all about Misha. And he just hugged me and said, "It's okay." This was when him and I were just friends, we were just fooling around. And it was weird. I didn't think about him that much anymore after that. I mean, I did every day, of course, but it didn't come with a heart-wrenching, "Oh my God, this is the end of the world" thing, and I'm going to be single forever because I can't ever do anything again. I mean, I was just chasing Poppy Cat because he said no. Or he walked away from me. I was like, well, I could be boyfriend, whatever. And it went off and on like that for a while. And then I told Papa Cat, we either date or get off the pot, I'm going. We started dating. And then I was having problems with my roommates. And my cat was having problems with my roommate's cat. So I asked him if my cat could move in. He said yes. And I wound up moving in 2 months after that. Now, somewhere along the way, I fell hopelessly in love with my husband. The point is that you can have more than one love of your life. It's not impossible. It's hard, but it'll happen. Papa Cat knows I think about Misha all the time, and I was fine this morning because I was fighting the trolls, and I had gone into a security space that I had been programmed to all the time. I'll just answer them. I'm not there anymore. Who gives a fuck? But I'm only halfway through Natalie's stream. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even say her. And it started getting to me. And I'm like, I'm too strong for this. Nothing gets to me. I'm a brick wall. And I'm not. I wanted to say this to her before, because you can find somebody else after everything calms down. I'm actually sort of feel sorry for my ex-husband, because he had to put up with me trying not to be a completely messed up person. I've talked to him since, finally. I haven't talked about Misha though, so he can get it out of his system, because I'm sure it bugs him, because things like that stay with you. But yeah, I have Papa Cat now, and I love him to the ends of the earth, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because if something happens to him before I want to die after him. We've been together for 22 years, fooled around for 3 years before that, and so I can't even think about him leaving me, and it's just that way, and it's just the way we are when we're by ourselves. It's always, what about you? What about you? We call it chipmunking. But yeah, for the next couple of days, he'll be really nice to me. I show him pictures, I tell him everything, tell him stories about us. And he knows it, he understands, and he knows that he's in the back of my head. And I even told Papa Cat that Misha helped me find you. So I wanted to say that you can find another true love. It may take a long time, but there is not only one true love in your life. And I just wanted to say that, because I don't want anybody who goes through this to lose hope. And they won't be stuck by themselves forever if they don't want to be. And you never know what happens. So, I've said I'm sorry. And I know what she's going through. Just in a weird way. I've always thought, when she said what happened and I knew what was going to happen, I was like, but I don't qualify because I didn't live with him and I wasn't married to him. It's like, no, I just worshiped the ground he walked on for 8 years and stuck my nose in where I shouldn't have. But you know what? Our husbands knew, so I didn't think of anything else. So it's like, I was young. I was in my 20s, so I didn't give a damn if nobody was comfortable with it, and he didn't either. So it's just like, I know it sounds just rambling, but I can't help it, because I didn't expect to cry. I've been crying for 3 days straight now. Because Carrie Ann made me cry last night because she was talking about me, and I didn't want her to, because I knew that, or I figured that somebody else's people were going to come chasing after her after that. So she made me cry when I rewatched it at midnight. So now I'm crying again. At least I'll get any antelope I want for dinner. There is an episode, pretty much the equivalent to my 600-pound life from the UK, but it's only like a documentary. I'm going to explain this. It's only like a documentary. It is about a woman who had, that problem, got a lap band surgery that starved herself to death. But one of the doctors in the middle say, lions don't snack between antelope. And it made a dent with me, because I've got to lose about 40 pounds probably, because of the diabetes. So these are people with their bikes. They're automatic bikes going up and down. Grove Oakland, I don't care. So I made the joke, and I saw this on Saturday or Friday. No, Saturday. No, Friday, because he was twitching upstairs. And I saw this, and the antelope stuck in my head. He said, lions don't snack between antelope, but we've been taught not to be hungry, and you're supposed to be hungry because you're human. You know, it's the way your body's supposed to work, so snacking's not good. So I joke and say, I've had my antelope, don't need anything else. What are we having for, what kind of antelope are we picking today? Stuff like that. So, I actually, for the first time, I looked at my screen and it says I had antelope for lunch. He doesn't like it either the same day between lunch and dinner. So, yeah. The next one in my line knew exactly what had gone on in my life and knew how defensive I was, and I was always in survival mode because there was nobody else. I didn't ever believe that there was anybody else in the world that loved me. So he finally got me out of that. It took a long, long time, and I still have it. We have an agreement that when he wants to hug me, he hugs me, because when I get into survival mode, it's like, leave me alone and leave me in my corner, and I like it here. I'm in my iPad in this chair, and I'm gonna go. That's from a Steve Martin movie, was The Chair. But yeah, I just wanted to say that, and not for her, but for anybody else who thinks it'll never happen again, and that was your only chance. And the world doesn't work that way. It does. It can happen again. You'll hate it. And the next one will understand why you keep talking about your past life. But that's also know when you found the perfect person. Is when you say, I'm glad Misha found you for me. And he agrees. I just like being on the waterfront. It was easier. I was going to do it from the balcony, but I told the BFF about what was going on, and she can get really paranoid, so she was teasing me about stuff. And then Papa Cat today said, well, they could use the satellite tracer to find you. I'm like, okay, I'll go to the waterfront. The BFF thinks I shouldn't, talk about where I live until things blow over. I'm like, I don't care. Whatever happens, happens at this point. I'm telling everybody, why are you keep commenting? I'm not important. Because this isn't done for that feed. It's done for my feed. My brain fog feed. And it's amazing the things I'm remembering today. Didn't even remember about the Phil Collins song. Because, of course, I haven't heard it in probably, 33 years? So, and wondered why Freedom 90 kept going through my head. Oh no, it was funny when we were young and innocent. We'd drive around, me and Misha, drive around, sing songs to the top of our lungs, and just have a good old time while his girlfriend and my boyfriend thought we were diddling. One of my exes will probably still dislike him because I was with him. I was with that boyfriend when Misha and I were driving around and singing, mostly Wham. MTV. Perfect timing. So, look at the ferry. Papa Cat still wants to do a ferry. Probably will. Yeah, I'm rambling all over the place, but it's just makes me happy. And I've warned, well, if anybody saw my community post yesterday, truth sucks. And I've had the most interestedly messed up and perfect life at the same time. Every one of my stories is unfortunately true. And now Papa Cat keeps anything from happening to me. Him and the BFF just
Hell, she knew on Friday that there was something going on in the background, and that's when all the ranting was going on. And I just was like, of course you do. Saw your face that something was wrong. It's like, of course you do. You've known me since I was 21. And I'm going to do another stream with her on next Monday. And we're going to walk around and do something. But also, it's encouraged her to walk our walk yesterday because there are families. It's the safest place in the damn world to go walking right now because families go out. It's full of families, moms, dads, and children. So she has been in anxiety, homebody like I am. And this has been helping me get out. And I've just started to get her out. And that's important to me because I love her to death. So, yeah, see, it's not one of the, it's not a feed for them. Anybody who bugs me about it, especially not on my feeds for that. I say, why do you care? I'm irrelevant to you. And somebody said, what, are you afraid of background checks? And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? No. And they're expensive. Why would you want to do a background check on somebody? So it's like one of those things that just ran away like wildfire. And it's like, it's called hyperbole, people. Look at the fast boat going by. This place is awesome. I love this place. When it first got built, I was like, oh my god, there are gonna be graffiti people and, druggies hanging out here. And it's like, no. And it's 80 and I have my parasol because the benches over here don't have a lot of shade. I'm glad I brought it. And I have my drink with me. So it's just fun to talk and sit here and look at the at-ats. Do you see the at-ats? George Lucas said it was not based on the Port of Oakland cranes, but I'm sorry, those are at-ats. And they're all over the port. One of these days, I think it's might be safe enough to go to the port. I drove through Oakland yesterday near my old house, and it's fine there. It is not dilapidated, and it's not full of gangs and graffiti and stuff. It looks like Oakland. So all I'm thinking of, it's up here in West Oakland and around downtown, well no, West Oakland and Fruitvale, because it's sort of centralized there. And it could be like the 90s. My mom called me up one day in the 90s and said, I saw a jogger, because it went through a really bad stretch again. So yeah, I was prepared to see my old neighborhood just a complete, war zone, and it's fine. It looks like my old neighborhood. I went from one freeway to another, and that's why I had to cut across Oakland, because I'm like, I want to see what this is like for real. And it's fine. Oakland's just going through their usual crap. Even I fell for it. News cameras or news people are doing it for clicks, basically. So that's why the other thing doesn't get covered, because it isn't going to generate interest. It's not big enough. We're just not interesting, and we're not going to make them money. It's all about ad revenue. So both sides are not going to make them any ad revenue, so they're out. So, wow, the ad ads look really far away on my phone. They're a lot closer than you would think. Oh, God, this stuff makes my head hurt so much. And I don't think I can go back to streams today. I'll go to the Gilded Age or go watch Ballet Rains, which is really cool. Stuff like that. Go watch Lip Sync Battle. Nobody ever told me about it when it was on. It is so cool. And tried not to eat between antelopes because it was a place. I'm the typical food addict. It was some place to hide. And it's fine if I move constantly. When I was dancing all the time, I could snack between antelopes, no problem.
But I'm 57 and don't do that anymore. Even though with lip sync battle I was in front of the television moving my butt. Surprised my abs don't hurt today. That's the funny thing. All of us goths who used to dance all the time, because there were always a club going on at least 5 days a week. We're all having arthritis and we're all getting chunky, and the guys lose their hair, and it's just like we're aging right in front of ourselves, and we don't meet at club anymore. And now we meet at goth fairs. So I had a running joke forever of 400 of my closest friends, because when Facebook and MySpace started, we all went there, and all the goths who came to visit San Francisco, that's a fairy saying they're leaving. All the goths that came to San Francisco would still keep in touch and come back here. It's like goth fairyland back then. And so with something like World Goth Day on the Hornet, which is a big old battleship? No, aircraft carrier. That's at the old naval base in Alameda. Saw a bunch of people I haven't seen in ages, and the naturally skinny ones are just a little bit more normal, and all of the rest of us are a little bit waddly. We're all we need to dance, and I'm thinking at this point, if we dance, we'll die. I'm the third person I know to come down with type 2 diabetes. So I think all that not sun was probably good for us. It's just so wrong. But I finally got to tell the story, and that was important to me, because life can suck like a mofo, but it's not mean to you all the time. So if you can make it past the really horrible parts, it'll get better. It's the only way I can put it. Got better for me. The person that wants to protect me is still in my life. Gnats on my phone. And will not let me go. And it drives me crazy when he's gone for more than 2 days after 22 years, 25 total. Oh yeah, I have to tell this story about me and Papa Cat. I started dating again because I hadn't done the final, date me or I'm leaving. I was dating someone, or I was on a first date with someone that I had met, and he was on the date with one of the girls who thinks they dated him. Don't ask him, not me. And I was having a good time. This guy was pretty cool. Found out later that my friends were setting me up to marry him. That's another weird story. And Popcat got drunk. He got drunk, came between me and the other guy, put his arms around both of us and said, "This girl is great. She's awesome." And I just looked at him and smiled like you wouldn't believe. After we left, can't remember if he did it again or not, but that's the one thing I remember. After we left, I told the guy, we went to one of the lookout points in San Francisco to probably talk and make out or whatever. And I told him, I said, "This was a great first date. I'm sorry, but this is it." And he was like, "Why?" And I said, "Because the guy who put his arms around us doesn't drink." I've never seen him drunk before. And him and I have been dating, not dating, for 2 years now. So I'm going to go date him, because I'll convince him. Because after this episode, I know he loves me. So, yeah, that's why I put the ultimatum. I just think it's funny that my cat moved in 2 months before I did. I mean, I was always there, but I didn't officially move in for 2 months after my cat did. He can barely remember her, because she only lived 2 years after she moved in. But she adored him. Just loved him like crazy. she'd sit on his mouse pad. And you know what cats are. Sit on your mouse pad, you've been claimed. So, which was the biggest irony, because she was a pure white cat that was given to me by my roommates, and all I wore was black. That's why I'm OCD, and you can't tell that I have cats because they don't show up on my clothes. So, yeah, I wanted to reiterate to the mods, it hasn't changed. Just because I'm not there does not mean it's different. So, have a ball. But yeah, that was today. I'm gonna go home and sit and watch TV and try not to eat. I'm trying to figure, I keep forgetting to look up, what is a smaller animal on the Serengeti besides an antelope? Because you figure you could use the small animals as snacks between antelope. So, I'm gonna get my car again and listen to Freedom 90 again, because I've had it running through my head forever. Maybe find the White Knight song. Yeah, that was the movie, right? Baryshnikov and Gregory Hines. I also haven't seen it in 30 years. And just remember, that's the brain fog. Oh my god, the brain fog is so weird. That's how I found out in my head about the CSAs. There were, I want to say 5, but I can't remember 5 anymore. 4 in total between the ages of 5 and 12. 13, when I hit puberty. So that's why I couldn't listen to the other person who's had to go through this anymore. Is the reason I don't watch SUV, because I didn't remember a lot of things before SUV, and then when the other person was talking, I started remembering other things, and it's like, no, can't do that. I was doing it for other reasons. But yeah, and then the Freedom song today was like, why do I keep hearing that damn song? Is this from Lip Sync Battle? Because I watched it yesterday, and then I realized where it was from. And like I said, that's when I started to break. So, okay. I said what I wanted to say, and I'm so very sorry that she lost her person. And it is the end of the world. For a little while. And I bet you I'm not the only person who buried the love of their life and got another one. I think it's probably pretty unique that I cried my eyes out on his shoulder and got it all out of me one night. My makeup must have looked hilarious. I was wearing goth makeup and crying my eyes out. So, yeah, I'm gonna go home. It's not horrible here. It's really nice. Wish I could sit here all day, but then I'd have to have my phone on, because I don't have my headphones. And that would drive people crazy. So, maybe I'll read the comments later on. But thank you for watching. And I'll be back tomorrow with something else. Maybe a dog park somewhere. Or maybe tomorrow I'll take off, because I still want to take Tuesdays off. Just bad timing. So, I'm out of here, guys. There's no one to raid because I have nobody to raid right now. So, everybody have a good night, good day. See you all later.